Thank you, Vilnius. Very nice to be here. To have a little presentation about cognizant leadership. I might say, what's that? Just another leadership approach? Yeah, maybe. What means cognizant? Cognizant means being aware of something, being mindful, knowing what you're doing as a leader in a particular situation. That's what we are talking about. And I've seen in the last, I would say, 2 decades, many leaders who are kind of lost, who are put in their position, asking themselves, okay, what is my role? What am I supposed to do? And within this whole vacuum and uncertainty, we find a lot of advice maybe on, let's say, LinkedIn or in some leadership training. And I came across one of those recommendations on LinkedIn recently by the highly respected Martin Roll. He said, 5 habits of toxic leadership. And then you find things like lack of transparency and honesty, micromanagement, use of favorism, and so on. And when you look at those posts, they get a lot of applause. As you see here, 12,000 likes and reactions, which is that's decent, right? People like it and say, yes, that's it. I don't know, really? Be careful. Lack of transparency and honesty. I would say, okay, fine, but not everything which is true and not everything that you should put on the table. Be careful with what you say. Micromanagement with low trust, micromanagement. Couldn't that mean that you really take care even about the little things? And trust is something that you have to gain carefully on the long run. Blame shifting. Sometimes you should hold people accountable for the things they are doing. Or no emotional intelligence and empathy. Come on, you are not the mother of your people. Have a professional distance to your people. You don't have to share all their emotions and everything. So whenever I hear things like this, and this is just an example, I have a question mark. Really? Now what to do? With this uncertainty, I see it all the time. A little experiment, a little exercise that I do with leaders all the time is I give them a piece of paper and I ask them the question, okay, actually, how do you lead? You have 5 minutes time, write it down. You know what I get? 8 of 10 leaders would say something like, I don't know, isn't that situational? Isn't that something intuitive? No. If you have a plumber, if you have a pilot, if you have a physician, and you ask him or her, how do you do that thing? How do you fix that problem? Don't be expect that they tell you, that's how I do it. But when you ask a leader, how do you lead? They say, I don't know, good question. My hypothesis is, wake up a leader in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock and say, how do you lead? And you don't get an answer, probably a bad leader. You might get somebody who might say, and these are the 2 out of 10 who might say, how I lead, I can tell you. Well, when there is a problem, when there is a question, when there is an idea, I think about it, and then I tell the people what to do, and I tell it exactly. That's how I lead. Does that surprise you? Another leader might say something like, okay, when there is a problem, a decision to be made, or anything, I think about, okay, whom should I involve? And then I sit at the table with some people, and then we discuss it, and we come to a joint decision, and then we do what we agree on. That's how I lead. I would say, nice. Which one is better, the first one or the second? I don't know, but at least they are clear. They are aware of what they do. So here is my little mantra. An effective leader knows his or her leadership context, has a suitable and clear idea of leadership, communicates it to those he or she leads, and acts accordingly. I mean, I deal with leadership since many, many years. I'm a leader by myself. I'm a dean of a faculty, and I have to lead. And I know all these theories, and I have attended leadership seminars and all this kind. And I really puzzled with a question, what might be an ultimate truth around leadership? And that's the only thing I came up. Really. So, what does that mean? Let's walk this sentence through. Leaders know their leadership context. It's a real difference whether you lead a surgery, where you are under time pressure, where the things you decide are risky, or whether you are in a team developing a new business model, a new product, a new marketing strategy, a new employer branding, a new compensation structure, and you have time and you can discuss things through, yeah? Or whether you work in a very repetitive setting, like in production and logistics, bus drivers, nurses, or whatever. Okay, when we look at this in a more structured way, we can look at some criteria. I just picked a few. One thing is something that Richard already put up. What he was talking about was the certainty of tasks. I mean, for some certain tasks, you have a high certainty of outcome, you know the outcome, and for some tasks you have a certainty of process, you exactly know how to get there, this is this. This is what Richard presented as the classic music. I would doubt it a little bit, but okay, fine, yeah. Classical music, this is what you do, this is the outcome, that's clear. Well, what we have in the current working world, in the future working world, is something more like this. We don't know the outcome. We don't know the way to get there. I mean, when you are a leader in such a situation and your people are asking, hey, John, a manager, hey, how does that look like in the end? I don't know. Well, you're the boss. You can ask 1,000 times, there will be no answer. We have to figure it out. Really? Yes. And sometimes we have to cope with this uncertainty, but leadership in an uncertain world is completely different from leadership in a certain world. Now think of this. Sometimes the manager, the red T, has broad knowledge and much expertise. And the people he or she is leading are just like the manager, but a little bit smaller, you know. So the manager is the master, the champion, however you name it. That's a comfortable situation. Yeah? As a manager can say, do this, don't do this. Okay, but how about this? In Richard's case, let's see whether we agree. As a conductor, I should have the big picture. I should have general knowledge, maybe some rudimentary expertise in some area, but the people I lead, they are much more better in what they do than me, myself. And you know, we find this all the time. I mean, as a conductor, you have the big picture, but every musician can play the instrument better than the conductor. You have situations like, John, how long will it take to develop this piece of software? Manager, I think 200 days maybe, yes? 200 days? I thought about 50 days. No, 200, maybe 300. Well, why is that? Boss, maybe I could tell you, but probably you won't understand. You know, in HR, you have the same situation. You find a contract, you find something, and you walk through it and think, I don't understand anything. Now you can go to the next level manager. Bad idea. How do you lead in such a setting? I'm in such a setting where we only have experts. and somebody has to lead. Nobody wants to do this, but okay, somebody has to do it. That's what you have in a band. There is no conductor, but somebody has to lead. Mick Jagger, maybe. Or do you have a leadership context where you have divided labor, everybody's doing his or her own thing? Or do you work in a very connected setting? That makes a difference as a leader. As a leader, on the left side, you have to take care for the individual people and their work. On the right side, you have to take care for the system. That's a difference. Do the people work all together, maybe in the same room, on the same floor, and physically close? Or are they remote? They don't see each other, right? Do we work in silos? Or do we work in a connected setting? That makes a huge difference for you as a leader of a team. And then can go on and on and on and on. My message is here, as a leader, be aware about your context. And different contexts. I do not talk about situations. I talk about context. It's long term. You must understand your context. Be aware of it. Okay, and then have your suitable and clear leadership idea. What does that mean? Let's make it very simple. Here is the situation. Hi, Mary. Please find attached the specification we've been working on over the last few days. We are supposed to send it to our client by Friday. Please let us know whether you are fine with it. Many thanks and regards, John. So obviously, Mary is the manager and John is the employee of the team. How should a leader react on this? This is a daily situation. And those in the room who lead people receive mails like this right now. Now, have a leadership idea. What is a leadership idea? A leadership idea is a default setting on how you react on things like this or any other thing. Somebody comes up with an idea, somebody has a question, somebody has a problem, whatever it is. There are 4 different default settings you can take, and as a manager, you should be clear which one is your default setting, the one you are using every day on almost any situation. First, you can react as a boss. A boss is somebody who says, okay, like it, continue. Whether something is good or not, I decide. You do what I'm told you to do. You are the responsible person who thinks and makes a decision, and you tell the people what they have to do. I don't have to tell you what a boss is. I think we are clear. You could have the default setting of a coach. A coach gives responsibility to the people, like I do with my students. When a student comes to me and say, Professor Trost, I've created a structure for my thesis. Is that fine with you? Yeah, they push me in the boss role, you see. My response would be, I don't know. Is it okay? What do you think? What makes up a good structure? How does that apply to your structure? Are you uncertain? Why are you uncertain? How can you reduce your uncertainty? And that makes the student think. They hate it. But they learn. That's what you do as a coach. You have an idea. Nice. What's good about the idea? What's bad about the idea? What do the customers say? How much does it cost? Whom do you need to execute on this idea? Is there an alternative? That's what a coach does. Make people think. Give them responsibility. That's a coach. Partners, they share responsibility. Whatever happens, whether there's an idea, a question, a decision to be made, a partner would say, come on, hey guys, let's sit together. Let's share. Look at this. What should we do? They think in we. What should we do? What do we think? What is good? What do we think what we need to do? And so on. They think in terms of we, and they facilitate. And very often you come up with a decision that is not the preferred decision option of the manager, but is shared by the team. They agree on it. Fine, let's go for it. An enabler would be somebody who makes sure that the people have everything they need to do a good job. You have an idea. What do you need? Tell me. To figure out whether it's a good one, to execute on the idea. You see, these are 4 things, and managers understand these 4 roles very easily. And it's really helpful to ask managers, look, here are the 4 roles. Take 10 points and assign your 10 points to these 4 different roles. How much boss, how much coach, how much partner, how much enabler. It's a really helpful tool. What is your default setting? And a default setting is important to create trust to your people. I mean, what does trust mean? Trust means that you have a clear expectation about your manager's behavior, even though you can't be sure. That's trust. So you know, when I go to my manager and have a question, when I have a problem, I go to my manager. When I have an idea, I go to my manager. I have a clear expectation what I'm gonna expect. If a manager acts somehow, it's not a good idea. Really not. So, you have to communicate your idea of leadership to those he or she leads. To make it more clear. Leadership is about relation. It's not about the leader. It's about the relation between a leader and the one he or she leads. Right? Now let's look at this model again. Here is a constellation. The black circle is how I see myself as a leader. This is my role definition. Right? The bigger the circle, the more I put priority on this role. The red circle is what my people expect from me. Role assignment is what we call it in social psychology. Now here, I see myself as a boss, and my people expect me being a boss. Perfect. They both, the leader and the people he or she leads, work on the same operating system. They understand each other. That works well. Even though you might say, no, but bosses is not so okay in the 21st century. Be careful. Maybe sometimes this is the best role you can take. Look at this. I consider myself as a coach, as a leader. No, I'm a coach, but my people expect the boss. That's a bad constellation, and I see it all the time. You know, the employees go to the manager and say, hey manager, I have a question, what should we do? And the answer is, what do you propose? You do it 1 time, you do it a 2nd time, a 3rd time, and then the people will react and say, you must not ask your leader, you will not receive an answer. Why is he a leader anyway? They will be frustrated, have lacking satisfaction with their leader. Not because the leader has the wrong idea of leadership, but because the relation is not clear. This is something that you find in many marriages or in relations, also in the private setting. When the mutual expectations are not clear, you have a problem. This is misfit, or look at this. Me as a manager, I want to act as a boss, but my people expect a partner. They want that I share responsibility. Not good. They will find me as a tyrant, which is not a good solution. So, in leadership development, what I very often do is do both. I reflect on who do you think you are? What is your idea of leadership? What do the people expect from you? And the best thing you can do is that leaders and the people are both in the same room, and you share it. That's the perfect situation. And of course, once you have your idea, you act accordingly. Do what you tell. So, to sum it up, that's my approach. It works pretty well. That I present to most leaders is understand your leadership context. Be aware of it, cognizant. Based on this, have a clear idea of your leadership, how you want to lead. You must be capable of writing it down to articulate it. If not, you have a problem. So, better think of it. You know, this is sometimes very difficult. It's not an easy task. When I coach leaders, that sometimes takes a day or longer. Some leaders struggle with that for many, many years. I struggle all the time. Every good leader struggles with that. And they must so. Communicate it to your team, and then reflect on it and act accordingly. So, I hope that I could share with you some impulses and some nice ideas on leadership development. Thank you so much.